Hi, and welcome to episode 163 of Masters of the Forge. I'm Adam. With me, I have Jason.
Hello, Adam. And hello, Brian. And hello, world.
And Brian.
And good night, Moon.
Hi, everyone. Good.
Oh, we're fine. How are you? All right. Today is a glorious day. Today is our 7th birthday. Happy birthday to us at Masters of the Forge. April 14th, 2014. Yeah. I thought for sure we started the same time as Forge Narrative, but I guess they're a year before us. So
wow.
I guess that means we actually did, quote unquote, steal the name from them. I don't know. It's pretty obvious pun, so I don't think we can actually, they can actually claim that we stole it.
Well, and can I just point out that 7 years in podcasting years, I mean, your show's like ancient. 97 years old. Yeah. True.
It's true. Yeah, no, I think you're right. So, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. We're doing video chat for the first time on Zencastr, and it's a little weird.
Yeah, it is.
What Jason's drinking makes me think he really needs to hydrate more, because that's not a healthy color. And Brian has a really sweet red background.
But the color doesn't change as it goes through the kidneys.
Yeah, Brian's drinking coffee at 5:30 at night. I'm sure that's fine. Oh no! So Brian was nice enough to join us on our intro. So Brian, with the new Drukhari, Brian is on a podcast called the Splintermind, and he just had a codex drop. So what have you been doing, like, as a result of the new codex?
On the show end, I've been answering a lot of hate mail. Apparently we were considerably saltier than everybody else on it, and yeah, I know what everybody else has said about it without watching any reviews, because people are like, but so-and-so said, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But on a personal level, I got to do the cool thing where it's like, you can when you play test that stuff, like, be too close to the canvas. And I just, when I got my physical copy, I sat down and opened it up and just said, well, let's just look at it as it is and not think about, stuff leading up to it. And I'm actually kind of falling in love with this army in a weird way again. And Crusade actually has been my gateway to getting back into that and doing that. And I mean, that's a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about. So that's what I've been doing since the book dropped, is forgetting about playtesting it and sort of refreshing my army.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the stuff that annoys me about the new codex and some of the other new codexes and stuff is that the kind of stuff that just doesn't matter in Crusade. Like, like my character can't take certain upgrades anymore. Crusade, just take whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the kind of stuff that annoys me. I like having really unique characters and whatever. And every codex, it's fewer and fewer options. But, as it goes, it's like, but if you're playing Crusade, you could bring made up stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let alone just stuff that's old and still has rules. It's just not on that character,
Right.
But what have you been working on hobby? What have you been working on hobby wise?
Oh man, I get to start. Wow, you guys are like kind. You let your guests go first. This is kind of
no. That's actually cruel.
Oh, okay. You know what? Now that I think about it, like, I think we do the same thing. Okay, that's fine. I'm on a different side of the mic. This is great. So what I started doing, I kind of went where I always go. Whenever I get stuck in a hobby rut or anything, it's Dreadnoughts. And so I went with the Drukhari version of Dreadnoughts, and I built 2 Talos and 2 Chronos. And my dream of having 9 painted Chronos in one list, not because it's like some overpowered, I'm going to take Dark Technomancers and nuke everybody off the table, but because I used to think that unit was terrible and fell in love with it in 8th edition. And why not? you know? And so I actually made a list. It's not great, but it's like, I have a 1,500 point game that I'm painting a list for, and it's just going to be all paint engines and one homunculus running around because it's going to be my equivalent of all dreadnoughts. So,
oh, that's awesome. That's going to be great.
Fun.
Yeah, I definitely want to fight it with my dread mob when I finish it.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, Colin's
a great fight.
Colin's going to come down from Idaho this summer after he's vaccinated and all whatnot, and he's like, I want to play my Death Company against that list, and I'm like, it would look amazing. It'd be like, what's black, red, and bloody and awesome, and those two armies fighting each other. So
absolutely, no, that sounds freaking sweet.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just been really kind of just getting my stuff re-geared, and when we go to talk about the Crusade stuff. I started a new campaign, and I'm using this campaign just as an opportunity to just go back and rebase some things, because I'm going through the process of rebasing my army, and it's so damn big that it's if I say I'm going to do all the Coblite warriors, I'm just going to hate myself for like 2 months. But if I just say, as I'm adding a unit or adding 5 more models to a unit or whatever, it becomes like a really much more manageable task. And
that like rebasing a unit is something you can do in an evening.
Yeah.
So but I rebased my demon orcs, and that was not great. No. If it wasn't COVID, I would be like, I'm never doing this again.
Well, and when we go to talk about like making your army and this, that, and the other, like I lean narrative, but I don't go like super hard story driven. But for this campaign, I'm really just letting the games develop their own story and dictate what units get added. Like, I don't have a plan. Like, I'm going to take these and then clearly add this. And it's like, no. Yeah. The first game went this way, and I'm going to add these units as a result of that. And so there's I have to do 50 of these or 10 of those or whatever. It's like, I'm clearly going to do this now. So I guess I'll pull that unit out and redo it. And there you go.
Yeah. That's the beauty of having a collection as opposed to a list.
Yeah.
You know, I'm guilty of it. I have armies that are lists, not collections, like my Caradron Overlords and stuff. Actually, almost every army I own is a list, except for my Seraphon, my Orcs, and now these Drukhari. Those are collections.
Yeah.
But pretty much everything else is just, I can play this one list, and that's it. I'm not building any more of that crap.
Right.
I'm just trying to match the orcs as a single list. You know, what sort of nightmare scenario is, here are my orcs, deal with it.
Right.
You came to New York to play that scenario a couple of years ago, remember?
Yeah, I was helping you move that army around because...
that was, in fact, a nightmare scenario. That was, in fact, a nightmare scenario.
Wow.
So I see that you've taken a dive into Duncan's box. What's that all about?
I took a hard dive, and in fact, if I'm a little loopy right now, no pun intended, it's because I'm probably high from all the glue. So, so the funny thing is, when Orchard Supply Hardware, if you've ever heard Carl and the Independent Characters gush about the old Orchard Supply Hardware primer, right? That we're just all lamenting, you know. Well, when they had their closeout sale, there was this one storage container they had from a company in the UK called Really Useful Box, right? And it was like, I was like, oh, this is like a really good dimension. It has these nice snap enclosures and all this stuff. And I magnetize all my bases. I have like, the Magna Rack, Battle Foam, whatever. I have every case on the face of the planet, but I've really gone to like magnetizing stuff. And I kept looking at this crate and thinking, damn it, if there was a way to put like a metal plate on the bottom or something, because I don't want to drag this Battle Foam, I call it, it's almost like the battle fridge or something, it's like I have the really big one, and it's like the racks are cool and everything, but I'm like, when I go to play a game, especially like 50 power level, like one little container does it, but how do I And then Duncan Rhodes a while ago did the thing where he talked about that very specific brand and just getting like the magnetized sheets and cutting them to fit and super gluing them into the bottom, and it totally works. And it doubles as, there's a big thing where when you go to buy a case, especially with Drukhari, because they're so pointy and you're going to break stuff no matter what you do, even with like the best laser cut stuff. But it's like, you run into the thing where it's like, especially if you have a collection you'll know this problem where it's like, I need something that's big enough to hold my models to go to a game, but my collection is too big for me to have everything in one thing. So it's kind of weird where you need like a storage solution that you can pull models out of and just do it. And this lid thing with it being magnetized, just it's a really stupid, simple answer. So I went all in today, and I did I think 6 of the 17-liter boxes, and I ordered a bunch of the smaller, shorter ones for like infantry. So it's a cool system. So if you haven't watched that video, I assume a million people have, because when you go onto Amazon and type in magnetized sheets, it shows all the really useful box things too. So I'm like, okay, people clearly have. Duncan has caused a wave of people going to Amazon enough to make the algorithm say, oh yes, this is what you need in your life.
I have 3 notes. Note number 1, the battle phone, in case you didn't realize, the battle foam battle fridge puts out enough EM radiation to give you cancer. So be careful about that, to cause mutations. The second of all, Duncan is a national treasure. Like, I've been watching, I'm a subscriber of his, and dude, it's actually really nice. Cause here's the thing about going on YouTube. There's everything.
Yeah.
You're a slave to the algorithm on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, subscribing to him, I can just go to his site and say, I want to see I did this the other day. I want to see the Games Workshop standard approach to like weathering. Show me. And he's got an awesome like sponge weathering and streaking tutorial on an old like sci-fi car, right? And it's perfect. And he knows his stuff. He does, but he's not like museum level. I don't need that. I don't need someone showing me how to do things on a museum level. I need somebody to show me the way I can do it that's accessible.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about him. And I forgot the third thing I had to say about what you said, so that's fine. Jason, what have you been doing in the hobby?
I finally finished building 3 of the Questoris Knights for the Adeptus Titanicus.
How many do you have?
I have, let's see, I've got 4 that are painted, the weirder ones, I can't remember what they're called. But then the Questoris...
The Acherons?
Yeah, the Acherons. Then I have 3 Questoris that, because I'm me, I had to go through and kind of kit bash them around and actually create the models like the knights that I actually do have. So, one guy with what is it, the melted lance or melted cannon, and the chain sword, and the other guy with the Gatling cannon on one hand, and the other hand has the whatever the hell it's called. Even though those aren't like builds that are supposed to be for the game, but who cares?
Yeah, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's fine. I lost one of the Carapace missiles on one of mine. I'm like, nobody's gonna care. That guy dies first.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
in reality, they all die all at once. It doesn't matter. They're all dead anyways.
Well, the saying is, the more you kill, the better my army looks. So, fire on this guy.
That's a good point. Shoot that guy. Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, this unit's dead. I can replace the unpainted unit with this painted unit that just died.
Yeah.
That's when the game's going bad, right? Where you're like, okay, now I'm going to replace my painted models with the better painted models, and I'm down to my best painted models.
Well, I've got my HQ left, the one I spent, days working on. Cool. Well,
I spitefully shoot the unpainted models anyways.
Yeah.
Those die first.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
But that's about it. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of hobby this week, because we recorded on Monday?
Yeah,
it was Monday, and then we released Tuesday, so not a lot of time.
It's all good.
Just trying to get through the semester without
It's a busy time of year.
Yeah.
We messaged David Annandale today, and I'm like, when do you want to come on to talk about Warhammer Horror? I know it's the end of the semester. He's like, yeah. Next month would be good.
Yeah. No, the teacher struggle is definitely real. It's like, I have friends that are like, hey, in May, do you want to? And I'm like, no. You know where you can go is the hot place, because May mayhem is real. So
that's awesome. So for my part, I've been working on the Tantalus. I'm in Tantalus Nirvana. It's nice. A beautiful thing. Thank you.
It's glorious.
Whoa, hold on there, Brian. You're on camera. Don't do that.
That was clapping and not.
Okay.
Something else that rhymes with that.
And we're not recording the video, although with this new version of Zencaster, we could do that. We could finally do like those video podcasts. But, I'd have to clean up this area and maybe shave this, dirt off my face. I don't know.
The cat hair off the floor. It's fine. So, as I stated last time,
that cat hair.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's going to be a beanbag one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That is right.
And the white jug, that white jug isn't the lye that you use to disintegrate your dates with. Anyways, the lead belcher situation was.
Wow.
I know you're talking about Drukhari, but that got a little dark there, sir.
Yeah, we might have pushed over
lead belcher.
We might have pushed over the Drukhari, continent. We may get too close to truth here. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Welcome to Camera.
There's a homunculus floating over there, and he's like, "Oh, too much. Come on."
No, we're in that satellite realm of Camera, where even the worst homunculi are like, ooh, yeah, you don't want to go there. You guys don't want to go there. So yeah, the lead belcher situation was sorted out. I just did a bunch of sanding and got it a lot smoother, and it worked out fine. I finished up the crew doing the last hobby hangout with our club. Always do the crew first. Always do the crew first. It's very important, at least for me. That's my suggestion.
Otherwise, they will never get done. Ever.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And I like pre-painting them. In actuality, when it comes to the crew, I actually like the fact that I'm putting super glue onto paint. There's a super glue paint connection, because you can. It's a lot easier to pop off if you need to. It does mean it's a little more fragile, but at the same time, sometimes you want to switch it out. I actually think I might be switching out some of my Cobalite Raiders and making them Witch Raiders, so that might happen in the near future. I also finished the sail, so I decided to paint the sail all white, and by all white I mean the Ushabti bone color that I've been using for the sails and stuff. And I got my big fat decal on there. It's like that crescent moon with the fist to represent my refugees of disdain. In case anybody forgot, the pinnacle of disdain is the main hideout. I guess it's not a hideout. The huge palace spire in Camera of the cult. What are the cult of the rising sun? Cult of the. Anyways, those guys, huh?
Dying sun.
No.
Bleak something.
God,
spiky dark. Dying.
I need you to
ripped off face something.
I can't. I need to look it up. It's fine. I've only been playing this army for 5 freaking million years now. I don't even know how to play orcs anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember.
You played.
What's the stat of an orc?
You literally played that one Drukhari game against me with them as orcs. I mean, they're literally orcs. Is what they were. Same toughness, same strength.
That's true. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah,
that was rough. I rolled for their combat drugs, and they ended up with pain. Everybody had Painbringer, and I was running Cult of the Cursed Blade as I usually do. So they were all +1 strength, +1 toughness with 4 attacks each. They were orcs. They were literally orcs. Cabal of the Dying Sun.
Okay.
They're jerks. Anyways,
Jerks.
yeah, they're jerks. We tried to take over. They kicked us out, and we can't go back to Kamara. So I'm starting on the base coats now on the hull, and that should be done before next episode, and that'll be gorgeous.
So, as a fellow Tantalus owner, how are you basing that thing? What's your plan for it? Because the stock base is not okay.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to tell you. Your suggestion for basing my Battlefleet Gothic miniatures is what I used. I still have plenty of bicycle spokes that I nearly killed myself with on the bandsaw or on the circular saw.
I remember that.
In case anybody's forgotten, I took all the bicycle spokes I got from the website, and I taped them together. I just wrapped them in masking tape, and I just got out the chop saw and I said, "Let's do this." And it was going pretty good. Lots of sparks. I was very excited when all of a sudden the tape gave out and bicycle spokes exploded all over the garage, and I almost died. It was pretty cool.
Okay, listeners, hold on, listeners. If there's ever a time whenever like the feed just dies, it's because Adam has killed himself, and he knows the passwords to like update the new episodes. So if we go through like a month or so without something happening, I'm dead. Yeah, it's because Adam's dead, and I'm trying to like figure out what to do. Okay.
Fantastic. So yeah, I got 120 millimeter circular base. I think I'm pretty sure it's the 120 millimeter.
Okay.
And I actually stuck the bicycle spoke through both bases, and then there's JB weld in there. And the cool thing about the bicycle spokes, one end has screw threads. So I drilled a little hole in the Tantalus.
Oh, look at you!
Super glued, screwed it in. Sucker's standing. One of the guys on Splintermind said that one metal spoke is doing a lot of work, but they're really good. I don't know what metal it is. I think it's just stainless steel. But if the spoke is cut short enough, it's going to have plenty of strength for even a model as big as the Tantalus. I use the same on Jason's not Gloriana class, the Photep there, and it stands just fine. The only problem you have is where it goes into the base, but again, enough JB weld will cure that problem real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It fixes a lot of sins.
It really does. It really does. The only problem I had, really, a lot of folks said where the sides go together.
Yeah.
Like the wings go up into like both port and starboard, you got the wings slide up into the front. I didn't have a problem with that because I did a lot of cutting. I'm like, well, if it looked at all uneven on that joint, I shaved that right off. I inhaled a lot of dust. What I had a problem with was the very back where the pulpit gets put on the back. There was some warping that could never have been taken out with bending. Yeah. So I just had to carve it down, shave it down, and gap fill it. And it looks fine. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a fun centerpiece to my army. It'll be awesome.
That gap in the upper, I don't know what that is, gondola, whatever, where the pilot stands, that gap that's about a third of the way from the rudder going forward. That's where every Tantalus has trophies. Because where that joint is at, there's just, I'm pretty good with resin and doing that stuff. And there was a point where I was like, I don't know. I probably only have another 45, 50 years on this earth if I treat myself right, and I'm not going to spend them doing this. So,
fair enough.
I think a little spirit vortex from a Kronos would just fit right here, and it looks coven-y. It's fine.
Looks good. Looks good.
It's fine. Just look at the front.
The Tantalus is temporarily out of stock on the Forge World site.
Yeah, I got it before. Someone on the Splintermind Discord popped in and said it's there. Like a day after I said, "Whoa, it's not there." I was gonna buy that, as a bereavement gift to myself to give myself the good brain chemicals. Oh well. And then they said, I think it was Tom. He's like, "Hey, Adam, you son of a." I'm in. Let's do this.
You sick bastard. I love you.
So Brian, how was your first game of Crusade with the Drukhari Codex? Well, official, post-release.
Post-release. So it was pretty fun. I'm playing with Matt from my local group. If you guys know the Blitz Bowl podcast with Jody and Matt. Matt is my Matt, I guess. I don't know. It sounds weird. But he plays Gene Stealer cults. And we decided we're going to go ahead and do one. And it's also just us, because we're both teachers too. So it's kind of like we've both kind of gone through this whole, Zoom school hell and, now going back to work and these sorts of things. And we're both like fully vaccinated. So it was kind of a weird game to be like, you want to take your mask off? Yeah. All right. And we were like, a couple of times you looked up and we're like, this is weird. It's like the before times, But we just kind of decided, we're like, hey, let's just play we were looking at all the supplements, like the War of Rust thing and the first one that came out with the Necron thing. And we're like, there's a lot of missions in here, but let's just play the first one out of the Crusade section of the basic rule book. And this is the first one where the first campaign I've done where I'm like, I don't have like a strong idea of what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to take units and see how they do and let the story go from there. So we just played the first mission, and it was kind of funny because in the first I won the roll off, I had him go first. He killed a couple of things, and then like on that small board side for the incursion sides, for like the 50 power level, it's like I was on top of everything, because if you take like Hypex on witches, you're like, I have a 20-inch move, so you're just with jet bikes, and I took Hellions, and I was just kind of annihilating everything. And I knew that I would have the return, he was going to have his hybrids drop in and do their whole thing. And at the end of my first turn, I was like, I feel kind of bad because I think this is going to go, and then his Patriarch just kind of killed everything. It was a really, I ended up winning the game, but the funny thing with Crusade, we'll go into this when we're talking about units and stuff, is you kind of start worrying about that injury roll, and doing requisition points. And a thing that you don't really think of is Archons if you're taking the Huskblade, like you think of them one way in 40K because you can take a relic or a warlord trait that makes them better. But in your first game of Crusade, you have to have, a hero, a leveled up character to take any of those. So you're going off of the base stats. And like my complaint with the Huskblade is I'm like, it's strength 3, -2, and 2 damage. Who are you swinging that at with 5 attacks?
Right. Yeah.
And, I was really asking that question in this game, and it was kind of funny because it was like, I like playing my Archon in this as this kind of like overly ambitious, showy. He's going to surround himself with badasses. Like, he's running around with a unit of Incubi and, these witch cults are there and all this stuff. And he just got absolutely punked. This Patriarch just mind raped this guy. And it was kind of funny because my Archon ended up getting when we get into the agendas, we'll talk about this. Like, I kind of picture him as this kind of like Commodus type character, from Gladiator, where, he's like he's going to fight dirty, but he's kind of the fake showy tough guy and all this stuff. And ooh, did he get punked? I think my succubus might end up being the actual the actual like master character, that's going to end up taking over this thing. And so I'm just kind of, at the end of the game, he got an injury, the Coblites got an injury, and it was a weird thing because the succubus. The weird thing was we do in our gaming group when we play Crusade, we do kind of like the hockey 3-star system, where like the home broadcaster, radio broadcaster for the San Jose Sharks picks the 3 stars, but we're picking it for the other person. We're like, who's the MVP of your thing? Which I think is really fun to do. And I was like, his patriarch was hands down. There was no way. And my witches killed more stuff in the game, but he was like, your succubus influenced the game all over the place without killing a single unit. I mean, she killed some things and finished, but she never finished anything off. And with Cursed Blade, and she was attacked by Gene Stealers, 5 attacks, wounded. She rolled 4 6s and a 1. So just in defense, she killed off the last unit of Gene Stealers without swinging at them. So she doesn't get any experience for that because she didn't actually kill them. They just died bouncing off her spikiness, but it was also her like helping the witch units to re-roll, giving them re-rolls and stuff like that. So I think she ended up getting MVP from that. And I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, wow, it looks like I might be going witch cult for this campaign.
I love the idea of like the Archon thinking he's in charge.
Oh my God. It's so fun.
and like being all puffed up and thinking he's in charge, but actually all the shots are called by the succubus.
So the thing that I'm going to do when we get into the injuries, the injury result that I'm going to talk about kind of ties in with that whole thing of him just getting absolutely mind raped physically and psychically by this patriarch. But it's like, now I feel like I have an excuse because I'd taken just cult and cabal units and a unit of incubi. Now I feel like I have the justification because I have to burn requisition points, right? Now I have the justification to try to bring in a homunculus, right? Who's trying to, show him the ways of feeling pain again, and doing that whole thing. So it's just, I can do this because I have a big collection, but it's kind of that whole fun of like, well, let's see what this does, and like, I'm also basing it on my opponent's, on Matt's thing and what he's trying to do with his agendas and all these different things. And it's just, we're just game 2. We're going to try to play all 6 of the Crusade thing, but we're just trying to like navigate which mission makes sense, based on what we're doing and what happens in each game. And it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah. You don't want to force the narrative.
No,
right?
no.
It's allowing it to grow organically is a lot of fun. Just starting with there's nothing wrong with doing a campaign and starting off with a basic idea, but don't be afraid to break the mold and go past, whatever you've prescribed for yourselves. Right. As for me, I felt very similarly with my game with Talbaz from the IC's Discord. We did a game on tabletop, and I played against his Death Guard with my Drukhari, with my Witch Cult. Now, I've been pretty much just been playing Witch Cult. I like the Cabal stuff, but even in my last Crusade force, I had a mix of Cult and Cabal, and I wasn't, I don't really care about, spending some CP to take a couple of detachments, but at any rate, I was actually ended up mainly playing my Witch Cult, and I like playing them a lot more. They do play a lot like orcs, like a fragile, hard-hitting, infantry-based mob, right? With some fast attack on the side and some transports. Now, that's how I like to play my orcs. I like to load them up in transports and shoot them forward and stuff. But there's more nuance. There's a lot more nuance to orcs than people think. But Drukhari are even more nuanced with a lot more tricks up their sleeves. So I feel like playing the Witch Cult is like playing my orcs, but kind of stepping up the skill level a little bit. So that's what I really like about them, and from a gameplay perspective. But I felt the same way with him. We played the Tech Hunt mission from the new Plague Purge mission pack, which we're going to talk about next episode. We're actually going to go into extreme painful detail on Plague Purge in the next episode in case anybody's interested, because we want to start deconstructing the narrative missions and pulling out all of these buttons and switches that Games Workshop is writing into these missions so that you can then throw them in a box and mix them up and do your own thing, right? Yeah. So anyways, we played Tech Hunt, which is 4 objectives down the middle. 2 of the objectives are fakes and 2 of them are real. Each player puts down a fake and each player puts down a real, and they're revealed after you perform an action on them. And that was really interesting. We both ended up putting the live objectives on the far side of the battlefield, which really helped me out because the Death Guard really want to be in their murder bubble.
Yeah.
They have a murder defense tower bubble that like all of their defenses proc off of. And so he had to split his army, and Drukhari, they live in that's their happy place.
Yep.
Is being all split up and going everywhere and running around like, okay, you can split up. I'm going to take my entire army and kill half your army, and then I'm going to go over here and kill your other half of your army afterwards. So it's very much like, but he's still the Death Guard, man.
Yeah.
There's some brutal stuff in that book that I'll tell you that when it was his turn, I was mad. When it was my turn, I was happy, and he was mad. But that's a sign of a good game, right? The game ended like 45-40 in my favor, but like it was pretty even. But I'll tell you, the one time I was upset was when I'm like, oh man, he's got his 20 Poxwalkers sitting on an objective. I can't have that. I just can't have it. I don't want that. So I go up there and I kill like 8 of them in shooting. And then I assault him, and I think he broke in or something. Something happened where he fought me. He killed like 8 witches. And he's like, well, I get 8 Poxwalkers back. I'm like, you do what now?
Yeah.
You do what now?
Yeah.
What? No, thank you. No, thank you. I was really pissed off about that. And then my Hellions charged, and then there weren't any Poxwalkers left.
That'll do it.
So you can see the swinging back and forth that happened there, and like it was a lot of fun. It was a fun game. I think we played one of the more milquetoast missions, though. Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing him again and really leaning hard on like one of the Death Guard very specific like plaguey missions, because there was some fun stuff. Like he came in with his Lord of Contagion, and the Lord of Contagion pooped on one of the objectives, and the poop objective started doing damage to my army. It was so cool. I really like, really, like for real, that's what happened. It was really neat. I like it. So yeah.
Sorry, just with video, the look on Jason's face right now is just like,
yeah.
God,
it's Drukhari, they poop on stuff.
Yes, because this isn't something to beep. You know, it's not a profanity, but it's still kind of like nasty. So
I should be beeping this.
I should be beeping. This is making me nauseous. But
you know, while Jason's gorge rises, why don't we go beyond the fringe? Brian has prepared a Beyond the Fringe for us. Brian, what are you excited about right now?
What am I excited about? Well, I'm excited about trying to figure out what this segment is about, because real talk, I have listened to 0 gaming podcasts since the pandemic because I've just been frustrated with, restrictions on gaming. So I'm guessing what Beyond the Fringe is about. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to getting my jazz bass that I just bought back, because I have rediscovered doom and stoner metal and bands like, if you don't know Witch Skull, you need lots of Witch Skull in your life. Oh. And I'm just, it just has me fired up and waiting to get this bass back, because I want to record a bunch of bumper tracks with just all the fuzzed out bass ever.
Name drop your bass. What did you get?
I bought a Fender American Ultra jazz bass 5-string. I have been playing the same bass for what did I say it was? Like 24 or 27 years?
Yeah.
24 years. And I finally just said, I think it's time for me to buy a big boy bass. And yeah. But when it came from the factory, the setup on it wasn't quite right. Like there's a little bit of a fret buzz on the open A and a couple of things. And so I had to take it to a repair center. And the thing that has me salty is they've had it for almost as long as I had it before they got it. So I'm like, I need this back. My wife's like going crazy. She's like, please just play your old bass. And I'm like, no, I can't go back. I can't go back. So that's what I'm excited about, is actually getting to do some like bumper track music, and just, doom stoner metal and bass is
nice.
The best thing ever.
Awesome. Jason, what about you?
For 20, how long have I had my main guitar? 21 years. And so, that's, even though I have a newer guitar that is a better guitar, I can't wake up at 3 a.m, I'm still awake at 3. I can't wake up in the middle of sleep and be given, the new guitar and know exactly where I am. I get the old one, I can just sit down, not even open my eyes, and know where I am because I'm so familiar with that instrument. So.
Your guitar is old enough to drink. Just don't plug it in when you make sure to unplug it.
Oh, it's a classical. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you're fine.
Yeah,
it can drink all at once.
Yeah, sure.
What's your Beyond the Fringe, Jason?
All right. So this last week I guess I finally did an update on Pro Tools and found out I had a whole bunch of new plugins. And so I decided that I'm actually going to start like documenting what plugins I use to process the Beyond the Fringe segment. So last week,
Beyond the Fringe.
I'm not processing that. So last week I used Salty Grain, which is a granulator plugin. Really nice. I've been using a version of that plugin for 16 years now, which feels really weird.
Your plugin's old enough to drive?
Yeah, and we're going to leave it right there because I could make a Matt Gaetz joke, but I'm not going to.
That kind of joke.
Yeah. We'll leave that one alone. We're going to stop right there. Okay. Normally I use like a combination of like processing techniques, like just throw everything at it, but I was kind of messing around last time and realized I just need to stick with one plugin so I can play with it and figure out what's going on. And I can create craziness with just one plugin and just by changing parameters. So this episode will probably be the real tape delay plugin that I just picked up as a freebie from Pro Tools. So,
ooh,
cool.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Fascinating.
Sorry.
Sexy. My Beyond the Fringe is Walk to Mordor, which is an app. Now, I like it, but as I do with apps I paid for it.
Uh-huh.
Usually that means you don't get advertisements. This one, homie didn't bother to program a no advertisement version, so I just paid him for no reason.
Wow.
Brutal. But what you do is you put in your steps every day or your miles every day, and it tells you where you are on the road to Mordor. I am currently only 12.23 miles away from Old Man Willow. So Perrin and Mary have to watch out because they might get eaten by a willow. I think it was Perrin, actually. I just passed Crick Hollow and Buckleberry Ferry. I have a total of, before I can throw the ring into Mordor, I have about 1,784 miles to go. So
okay.
It's a cute app.
I hope
it's like little milestone.
I hope the ads are more geared towards like where you are.
No, they're not fun. It's just Amazon and all that crap. It's dumb. But anyways, you're walking. It would be cool if I was like Old Man Willow, like trying to sell you like marijuana seeds or something. That would be pretty cool. But no, that's it.
All right.
We have one short Astropathic communique to discuss. Jason, you picked up Cursed City.
Yeah, I managed to pick it up before the pre-release. It got shipped It got shipped to the shop early. Okay, good. I got all the proper vowels in the proper places. But my plague...
Otherwise, it'd be a death guard on an objective? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was supposed to get the Caradon book and the Plague Thing book, but those haven't shown up yet. But Cursed City showed up. So, obviously, things are fun over at GW Land. All right, so... I'm going to say, let's see, was it Hero Sprues are separate so they could easily be reboxed for a Barnes & Noble release game? Something was done like that with the Blackstone Fortress stuff. But it's only the heroes, not everybody else. I did look over the contents, the dice, the player card layout, counter setup tiles. It's basically Blackstone Fortress, just reskinned.
With vampires.
With vampires, yeah, but it's the same mechanics. The mechanics are easy to work with. The only thing I didn't like about Blackstone is there would be times it would take longer to set up the scenario table with tiles than it did to actually play the scenario. Like you could, Good.
If you look at the tiles, is it something that we could use to play like a kill team game where I'm like infiltrating the Thousand Suns like library or something?
Yeah, probably.
Are they like cool and Baroque like that? I think that would be
Some of them are. I didn't have a chance to look over them completely. They're more squared. Right. Like the Blackstone's all hex. And that would cause some issues about getting everything together, which kind of aggravated me about Blackstone.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Minis are all push fit, so plan appropriately. So don't dry fit unless you're willing for it to be that way permanently.
That is wise advice for anyone to take.
Yeah. That it kind of annoyed me. I should go through and like tag a Don in this, but he doesn't listen to us. So, let's see. Blah blah blah. Similar mechanics. What else? It looks pretty good though. I think my gaming group will probably pick this up. I think all of us are now vaccinated. So, I might be playing that in May. So yeah,
cool.
So that's about it.
All right, I'm looking forward to being vaccinated. I'm looking forward to playing Warhammer without a mask on.
I'm telling you,
at least with specific people.
It is weird. Like you think it's going to be like riding a bicycle, and it's really not. You're just like you look like. Okay, I live on the coast, right? And sometimes you'll see people. It's Santa Cruz. I'm sorry. You'll see people that'll take their cat to the beach, and a cat in an open space on a leash is a terrified creature that is confused on every level possible. And I felt like I looked like a cat on a leash at a beach.
Yeah.
When we were doing it, I'm like, it does. Okay, we're good.
It's so weird. I'm actually thinking about wearing a mask at tournaments now. Like not at the table with people, like if as many vectors as I reasonably can like stop transmission of any sickness between myself and others and myself, I might just go ahead and just do it. If I'm in like a weird public space in flu season or whatever. Because I don't know. I'm sick of getting con crud, and I'm sure other people are too. I hate it. It's literally the worst. Well, anyways, I'm looking forward to just normally hanging out with people. That'll be good. Why don't we take a quick break, come back, and we'll do our talk on Drukhari on Crusade. Potty break, I need to have a potty break. I gotta pee, I've had a coffee, and some water, and some coffee, and then some coffee again.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh yes, Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deserts.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Hey Archons, does 9th edition have you feeling like the Slith Party Bus just doesn't have enough party for you? Well, if you want to put a little shock back into your shock brow, you need the Slith Party On! That's right, Archons. For 736 points, you can take 3 Archons, 12 Slith, and a Tantalus. It's the Slith Party On! Now I know what you're thinking. Couldn't I take Drazar, 15 Incubi and a Tantalus, aka the Incubi Murder Boat, for 51 less points? Sure you could, but it wouldn't be the Slith Party On! But is it legal? Oh yeah! Is it awesome? Oh yeah! Is it any good on the table? No! It's the all-new Slith Party On. Sort of awesome. Party On! Really hilarious. Party On! It's the Slith Party On!
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch.
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det er ikke ei bikkje, det er en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det er ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Welcome back, everyone. So usually we do, for these kinds of updates, we talk a little bit about the lore updates, but I don't think there's any to speak of. There's like a little story in there that I saw about a not a Phoenix Lord, but like an Eldari aspect warrior, might be Drazar or something, or the current Drazar. I really I didn't see much in there. These codexes continue to remind me of the 3rd edition codexes, where there's actually not a whole hell of a lot of lore in them. I don't know. What do you think, Brian? How do you feel about that assessment?
Honestly, I was so sick of doing the codex review that we did. I mean, because it was just so many hours of having to look at stat things that I haven't gone through it. I mean, when I went through it before, I was like, that's copy and paste, that's copy paste, that's copy.
Yeah.
Paste. I'm like, all right. So.
However, I'm pretty excited. I have my buddy Tucker gave me almost every codex from 8th and 7th edition.
Yeah.
In all the campaign books. I'm taking those to UPS, and they're going to slice. They have a binding slicer, and they'll just slice them through the binder, and I'm gonna throw away all the rules and just binder up all the lore, which is
that's cool.
Literally the opposite of what people did in 7th edition, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so. As for the Crusade rules, we just like all the other codexes. There's a new a new resource that you can use on top of all your other resources. Again, if this were in the core, like the main rules, it would be just another thing to keep track of that would be hard to keep track of. But with the Crusade, you have all the time in the world to mess around with your Crusade force, like building a D&D character. Mm-hmm. The more bells and whistles, the happier I am. So,
yeah, that's very true.
Once again, the codex, the Crusade section of the codex is laid out really weird. Like, things are not arrayed in a way that is logical. This started in the main rulebook and has continued in every codex after. So our notes, if you're following along in your hymnal, don't expect it to be in order based on like the way it's laid out in the book. We are going in logical order instead of codex order.
And if Jason doesn't feel like doing a metric excrement ton of editing, you expect to hear a lot of page turning as we go from section to section.
Yeah. Yeah. I cover that up by telling them what page we're going to.
Yes.
Assuming that they're driving in their car, following along in their codex.
Sure.
No, I'm just covering up dead air. That's all I'm doing.
It is possible. It is possible there are people who are with their codex and they're following along.
Oh, that's nice.
Not
that's
probable.
Nice. Thank you for
not
following
probable.
along.
Possible. The same possibility of getting hit by lightning.
Yeah.
Hey, but people are hit by lightning every year.
That's right.
So we're gonna start off on page 80 of your hymnals, where we're gonna talk about territorial dominance. So this is where your character is someone who is important, or at least in your mind they are, and they are asserting their dominance over certain regions of Camera. So every Crusade game you play, you have this 4+ chance of getting a raid spoils point. If you win, you automatically get an additional point. So you get basically like an average of 1 point every game. This represents you getting dominance over a Drukhari territory. So each raid spoils point you get allows you to roll on this D66 table and take over an actual territory that they have listed. One example of a name is the Blood Razor, which is an incubi shrine, which is cool. Do you guys see any that you like? The Murder Cove, which is a weapon forge. The Murder Cove. That's delightful.
There's one that's just called the Gland.
That's
23?
gross. That is gross.
Hold on.
No one
What's our
wants
timing? That. Okay. Just got to make sure I don't have to go through and edit. Okay. Go ahead, guys. Continue.
Okay. So this character is called the Ascendant Lord. So my Ascendant Lord is my succubus, and it sounds like Brian that yours is also going to be your succubus for different reasons. The unexpected incompetence and unexpected competence of your warlord. But it can be any. It could be an archon. It can be a succubus. It can be a homunculus. In the past, it's really been the archon, right? Who's been the kind of the chief among the Eldari. And I wonder, I doubt homunculi ever become archons, but do witches ever become archons? Like in their career, do you think?
I don't know, but I was like sitting there going, absolutely not. Maybe. I wouldn't see it just because of the path that they're on. As far as, they're so specialized in sort of, because what I think you really have to think about all of Camorra as, like all of the 3 sub-factions and even Blades for Hire, it's like they're all, I don't know. Jody one time in my group was saying, I just view them all as like little crime syndicates. They're all very, and so like with their whole like raiding party detachment thing where you can take 3 patrols or whatever it is, they're really sort of hyper focused on resources that fit in their sort of, I don't know. It's like they all kind of have their lane in Camorra, if that makes sense.
Right. In development, we call that siloing.
Okay.
So you have all these different silos where, the people in this one silo really only talk to and work with people in their own silo. And you only have certain representatives who talk to the other silos, usually. And it's sometimes considered a bad way to do things, but it's the reality of the situation.
So back to your question on the succubus. I mean, I was trying to think of it. I was like trying to come up with some sort of an analogy, and it's like, okay, the cults are there, like the Roman Empire. It's like the entertainment, and they serve a necessary function. The homunculi covens serve a very necessary function. Like they aren't running around trying to do these things because their resources and their role, I don't know. It's a weird thing where you think of Craftworld as being living in this very rigid society, but Comra is also has that same rigidity to it as far as everybody having their very specific lane. And it's like even with all of the chaos, it is all sort of held in check by everything being
the caste system
place. Yeah. And so it's like with the succubus, it's like, okay, well, if they're the entertainment, I was like, well, you don't see actors or things going into politics. And then I'm like, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, right? Like you've got, you know what I mean? Like you have, there are these parallels, but I don't know that a succubus actually would sort of take over the role of an archon and like the resources that they sort of command.
But I like this conversation actually, that I planned on having this conversation, but it ties in very well to what you said before about like how your game went. And I wonder, I could have an archon in my army, right? Like I could, right now I'm going full witch cult rules. I love witch cult. It fits my play style. But if I wanted to have an archon, it could just be kind of it could be the witch or the succubus who's calling most of the shots. Yeah. But they have the archon there as like a kind of an adjunct, someone who can talk to the cabals in case I need reinforcements or I need blades for hire or something like that.
Well, and archons really, I mean, your reputation is one of your best defenses. As far as if you're known as being, so archons are like my archon in particular that I'm using for this campaign. Like this guy is a straight up poser who is really trying to put on the show. And so needs to surround himself with like, murder machines. So it's like, oh, look at my raids. They bring in all these things. Well, what did you do there? Put it all together. He's more of like the person who sends out the Evite, to go raiding than he is actually doing anything. So and a succubus could totally use that. Like, oh yeah. Look, he's putting on his little show. And they're like, meanwhile, we are, putting on our huge spectacle. And, everybody's using everybody in Comrade, even though they're all sort of in their rigid lanes. I mean, they all need each other in order to accomplish what they want to do.
That's cool. Yeah, my archon is she attempted to take over the pinnacle of disdain. So she the only thing she has going for her is the fact that she stole a bunch of artifacts from those people, and they don't appreciate that. And I think a succubus could see some value in having someone like that as an ally. So like the whole using each other thing, that makes a lot of sense when building your force. So moving on, it does say that each of these locations your Ascendant Lord has complete control over, and there are abilities later on that let you kind of steal them from other people. If you're playing in a campaign, I wonder, you could actually say that you have like a share of control over it. You have influence over it. If you're running like a site-based campaign, you don't have to say that you have total control over that location. I just wanted to put that out there story-wise. So the territory types are weapon forges, toxin distilleries, arenas, scourge spires, incubi shrines, docks, sprawl slums, trading districts, shadow districts, noble spires, gang territories, and raidcraft workshops. There are a lot of abilities that you get from having these, and you gain control of them, like we said, by actually spending a raid spoils point. But there's something that we should mention. When you do so, you roll a dice, and on a 1, there's an assassination attempt made on your life, and your Ascendant Lord gains a battle scar. That is awesome.
Yeah. That sounds
right. How cool is that?
That seems like it'd be a perfect, mechanic to have in this sort of setting. He's got to have some.
Oh,
scars.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that. I some of the scars can be pretty punishing, but if it's an Archon, he's kind of just standing in the back anyways.
He's not doing anything.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we, just like in all our other reviews, we each picked one of the abilities to read out and talk about, like our favorite or what we think is the most interesting. That way you're not sitting here listening to us spout all the rules in the book. You can go to page 82 in your hymnal yourself and read them. But for those uninitiated, we're going to just each do one. Brian, which one did you pick?
Oh, man. You said we each just did one, and I'm like, well, I put two.
You can take.
You can do two. You can do two.
I didn't take a lot of stuff because, like I think I've mentioned in our chat, I know nothing about the Drukhari. Like, I'm not even sure how I would build a narrative list to even talk about this stuff.
Sure. So the two that I did, and again, I was after I just talked about, this Crusade, I'm just really letting the narrative do whatever it's going to do and just letting go and doing that. And then the two that I picked are the two gamiest ones, and I even put in parentheses gamiest. So just to kind of give an idea, I mean, because again, this is where Archons have control of different parts of society or these types of things. If you take docks have, after each battle, when rolling to determine if a raid spoils point is gained, add 2 to the roll. So if you win the game, you get one, and in any game that you play, you get one on a 4+. So now, if you win a game, you're getting on a 2+, you're getting the second one.
Right. That's good.
And when you go into like the spoils of battle and other ways you can spend those raid points other than territories, like it stacks up pretty quick.
Right. And what I forgot to mention was when you only get access to these abilities when you have 3 locations of the same type.
Yeah.
So for the you need 3 docks in order to get access to this ability, and to use this ability, you have to you had 1 to your Crusade points for that game.
Yeah.
So your opponent's going to be getting extra command points to use during the game just for you using these.
Yeah.
So that's in a lot of cases, these territorial abilities aren't going to improve your veracity in combat. They just help you build up your force. So you're actually going into the game with a bit of a disadvantage for doing this. What was the other thing you picked?
The other one was the Raidcraft workshops, and this is if you're playing like Flayed Skull, which they're very much about their transports, or Obsidian Rose, where they're very they're sort of like the artisans as far as constructing things. At the end of the battle, you can ignore 1 failed out of action test taken for a Drukhari vehicle unit for your army. That test is treated as having passed. So
cool.
If you're playing Drukhari, your vehicles die. Even with like the +1 toughness and access to, they die.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And to be fair, I would say that there's a good narrative there's a good narrative reason why this would really work, right? If you can cobble most of the pieces together, for the most part, I think a lot of the abilities that you earn for your vehicles are in the crew themselves anyways. So, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. I like that. What'd you pick, Jason?
I picked gang territories because, the one thing that's kind of drawn me to Drukhari has been that fast attack, Hellions, Reavers. I like those models. Just the idea of getting in there and smash and grab, but I think that's kind of what I like about, Drukhari or Eldar both is I like those models a lot. They may be terrible on the tabletop, but they look cool and I don't care. So anyways, gang territories. So given the correct incentives, these peerless street killers can be persuaded to leave their dens and accompany a lord's raid. So in the update experience point step, each Reaver or Hellion unit that was part of your Crusade army for this battle gains 1 additional experience point. So that would be a way to really pump up your experience points to make them, much better army, much faster army, I guess. Although that could backfire big time.
Well, but also with the change to eviscerating flyby, with it being as deadly as it is, like Reavers, if people have these like little minimum size scouting units that are out trying to do actions, you can just fly over them and nuke them now. Like much easier, like it is much more reliable than it used to be. So they pick up, because eviscerating flyby used to be on a 6, you would do it, right, or a 5 for infantry, and now it's a 4 for an infantry unit. So if you're taking like 6 of them flying over, like they can take out units pretty well now. So they're going to rack experience really quick. And
so basically,
Reavers aren't bad.
They would basically fly over a unit, pass over the unit during the movement phase, and then 6 up chance of damage in the old rule.
Yeah, now it's a 4 up.
Okay,
but now they've balanced it. They've balanced it by making it cost more for bigger units.
Right.
Well, because that's similar to the Screamers in the Demons list. That's So sorry, this is this is the year of Thousand Suns and Demons for me, and I'm already seeing the fun I can play with all of my Screamers. I don't want to talk about how many I've painted because there are things we don't talk about.
Yeah. I like the gang territories because it shows you that the territories that you have don't have to be this specific location. It could just be a district. It's a million Drukhari in this one area, and you're picking the best and the brightest or the worst and the meanest from that group. And there's a bunch of those. The gain 1 additional experience for this type of unit in here. The one I picked was the arenas, which does the same thing for witches. But Brian picked some good alternative ones to show us that it doesn't just have to be that. Now, this can't be a Masters of the Forge without coming up with random BS custom rules. I was thinking you could come up
homebrew. Yeah,
I already drank my homebrew today. So I was thinking you could do webway nexuses. I looked it up. It is actually pluralized as nexuses.
Okay.
I was thinking when you use the webway strike stratagem, you can add an additional unit to it for free. Might be a good one. Beast liveries. Basically the deadliest catch spoils of war, but for only one game. So you give one of your beast units just a special upgrade, like one of the Crusade upgrades. Dungeons, add a small squad of Astra Militarum conscripts to your army for the next battle. If your warlord gains 1 XP if the unit is destroyed, and they lose 1 XP if they survive. And they've done this before. This has been in the stories before, where they kind of trick the Astra Militarum into working for them. In this case, it would just be slaves, prisoners that they steal from the dungeons. Flesh crafters. I don't even know why this isn't in the list. Reroll any out of action tests for infantry or monster units after the battle, regardless of the result.
Yeah, it's a little weird. When you look at the territories, there aren't any lower Comera stuff, right?
No,
there aren't any Homunculus Coven type things. Which is weird.
I wonder if we're going to be getting a supplement soon. Spoils of Battle. So, Spoils of Battle are if you don't want to risk being assassinated, taking territories, or if you've got enough territories or you don't want to play the territory mini game, which it's possible some people won't want to do. Just like with the Death Guard, you have some special abilities that you can choose from. You can basically take the spoils of war and spend them on doing stuff in game. Does that sound right, Brian?
Yeah, so you were mentioning that people might not want to do the territory game. If you're doing I'm doing this little 6-game campaign, and I don't know that I'm going to take my army past that, or if I'm going to get more people from my group during the summer to all start fresh. Because it's you need 3 of the same thing to get some kind of a benefit. For me, though, where I like the territory thing is I'm just letting the games decide what units I'm adding and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, if I roll the territory, I'm like, I got the shadow, the shadow districts. All right, looks like I'm taking some mandrakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it if you have like a collection and you want to just let it go. But as far as like if you're doing a shorter one, I think people are going to do these spoils of battle because these are almost like it's still a resource management game, but it's like these are kind of like almost like pre-game stratagems that you're using. You're sort of like blowing your points to just kind of juice up a particular thing for a game or whatever the deal is.
Mm-hmm. All right. So why don't we pick 2, Brian? Jason didn't pick one, so why don't we each pick 2? And I'm gonna pick Deadliest Catch and Assert Authority. And Personal Supply is really good too. Well, you do yours.
Well, Just a Replica. I am a big Covens player, so of course Just a Replica is awesome to me. So it's 1 raid spoils. If an out-of-action test is failed for an Ascendant Lord Homunculus unit, you can spend 1 raid spoils. Boy, I just did a spoonerism and slapped both of the words together. You can spend 1 raid spoils point. If you do so, the test is treated as having been passed, but the Homunculus unit does not gain any experience points from that battle. So that's there, it was a clone. It's fine,
That's fantastic.
Which is a very, tricksy, I always called Urian Rakarth old dirty bastard on our show. So it's a very old dirty bastard sort of trick they can do with that. The other one, oh God, I'm like double checking to make sure you didn't put expert manipulation. This is a big one. This is 3 raid spoil points. So this is like a game and a half. On average, this is a game and a half, right? If your order of battle contains an Ascendant Lord Archon unit, once after each battle, you can spend 3 raid spoils points to select 1 territory from the territories table, add that territory to your list of territories claimed. So if you have randomly rolled those 2, or you've rolled one that you really like, it takes a lot of resources to like really go in and try to take the one that you want. But you can, I got the Incubi Shrine and I love Incubi and I've got it in my list. You can, make sure that you're going to get it doing it this way. So
you could lock it in.
Yeah, but 3 raid points is a lot. Yeah,
that is a lot. And I think you also avoid the execution. No, it just says after gaining a new territory.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you would still risk being shot in the face.
Right.
But hey, you get the exact one you want. So that is really cool. I like that. That's for if you're playing a longer campaign, I like that a lot.
Hey, you know what we call risk getting shot in the face in Kimura? A
Tuesday?
day ending with Y.
Oh.
Day ending in Y. That's correct. I really like Assert Authority. If you have an Archon in your order of battle, and if you win your battle against an army that includes an Ascendant Lord, you can steal whatever territory you want from them. I love that. That's amazing. That's just the best.
Well,
that's just the best.
And as awesome as this whole Crusade, this section of the Codex is awesome, right? Like this, I remember when we were playtesting it and we saw this, I was like, good Lord, I feel like I'm in Kimura. This is the best part of the book for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there was kind of a missed opportunity for, if you actually can find another Drukhari player to play a campaign, there's way, this is like the one interaction thing, if I remember correctly,
mm-hmm.
where you get to like mess with each other and do things with territories. But I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for you, if you find another Drukhari player to play with, if you homebrew some of the stuff like you guys do, there are way more opportunities for shenanigans in here. Yeah,
you can write. In fact, the one homebrew thing I made up for this episode was quite along those lines. So contract 2 raid spoils points.
Yeah.
Immediately after determining the attacker and the defender in a battle, if you're the attacker, you can put a contract out on the enemy warlord. Roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. If your opponent's warlord is also Drukhari, or is not also Drukhari, if they are Drukhari, you have been double-crossed. Your opponent gets to use this spoil of battle instead for free. It is possible that they can triple cross. So if you keep rolling ones, just keep going back and forth. Just keep going back and forth. But if it wasn't a 1, on a 2 to 5, the enemy warlord suffers D3 mortal wounds prior to the battle. On a 6, the enemy warlord suffers from a random battle scar from the core rulebook.
Oh, damn. There was a terrible 90s movie where they were like, oh, we have the Trace Buster. Oh, well, they have the Trace Buster Buster and the Trace Buster Buster Buster. And they were like, oh, Anyway.
I felt like the possibility of ad infinitum double crosses just makes it. It really makes it. Like the incubi who showed up is the incubi went to the one warlord. It's like, so how much are you going to pay me? All right. And then he went to the other one and was like, hey, how much you want to pay me? And they just kept going back and forth until the right price was named.
Yep.
I like personal supply just because it's cheeky. The succubus can re-roll both the results on their raid on their combat drugs for one raid supply point. It's just they're getting high on their own supply. That's really the only reason I like that. That's delightful.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about. Do you guys have anything else to say about like this new system here? I think they nailed it. I think there's a lot of room for growth, but I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I am all about this system. I love it.
We are going to flippity flop back to page 78 of your hymnals and look at some of these requisitions. Now, requisitions is a weird one. I've been looking at some of the Death Guard ones. And I don't want to get gamey about Crusade. I really don't. But I want it to be fun. I want everything in here to be fun. And I feel like some of the Death Guard stuff is not a lot of fun because requisition points are what you use to build your army and make it better and add units to your army. There shouldn't be anything in the requisition points that you use once and it's gone. And I saw a bunch of that stuff in the Death Guard. Like they can use like some plague nonsense for one game and they had to spend an RP to do that.
Oh yeah.
Who's going to do that when you want to add units to your army? I guess I could see people doing this if they're playing in a campaign where they just have 100 power level and that's all they're using. I could see people using this for that kind of thing.
I'm just laughing because the requisition that I chose is absolutely a one and done.
Fantastic. I like it. What did you pick, dude?
So when we go into relics, we go into requisitions, you're going to tell that I love the old school 3rd edition Drukhari stuff that they were able to bring back. So I put Patron of the Killing Arts, and if you are a Metalocalypse fan, it is the Dr. Roxo, I do cocaine, baby. So, Patron of the Killing Arts, it's 1 requisition point, and if you're a 3rd edition Archon, you're going to love this stuff. Purchases during the muster army step. If your army includes any witch cult units, select 1 Archon or Homunculus unit from your army. Until the end of the battle, that unit gains the combat drugs ability.
Oh my god.
Increase its power rating by 1 until the end of the battle. You cannot use this requisition if it would take you over the maximum power level allowed for the battle size being played. So your Archon he can't hop on a jet bike like he did in 3rd edition, but he can definitely do combat drugs. So yeah, he turns into Dr. Roxo, and it is glorious. And
that is so awesome.
I wouldn't even choose the result. I would go for the roll twice thing and just see. Oh, yeah. Because the witches are like, oh, you want some? We'll give the Archon a little bit of this. See what happens, I love
Picking for units, I think, makes a lot of sense. But for the characters, I don't think now that Splintermind is +1 ballistic skill.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a single drug on there that a character can't benefit from. And getting 2 random, I think, is actually better for a character than picking 1 in most cases from a gameplay perspective. Also, the fact that The idea that the succubus just gives the Archon here, I found these in the creases of my couch. Take these. I love that idea. That is fantastic. I'm using that every game. I'm contradicting myself. Okay, so my favorite one is just the best. The name is great. Yeah. It's a constant source of disappointment. And you can hear your Archon saying that to the unit that you're about to hose. So I'm going to read it out. Sometimes an example needs to be made, and those who have failed their commander find themselves thrust into the arena to be slaughtered or disposed of in some other suitably gruesome manner. Covens. Purchase this requisition after a battle. While you have an Ascendant Lord in your order of battle, select a unit from your order of battle that has 2 or more battle scars. Remove that unit from your order of battle. You gain a number of raid spoils points equal to that unit's Crusade point total. Just grind them up, throw them in the meat grinder, and we'll make more. We can always make more.
Straight to hell. I love it.
Yeah, we can always make more. I love it. Okay, battle traits. Flipping over to the next page. There's a lot of these, as usual. It's hard to pick just one. But were you able to do that, Brian?
I was able to pick just one. And of course, I went straight to Lower Comorum. I went to the Coven stuff. So, and I am really going to try to not butcher reading this. Psychotromic brands. The gnarled flesh of these creatures is imprinted with glowing sigils burning into the minds of nearby psychic beings. So the whole anti-psyker thing is something that I wish they would have steered into a little bit more, because they don't have, not because I want them to have psychic defense, but I want them to just be kind of horrifying even for psychers, to be around. So it's the unit has the following ability. While an enemy psyker is within 6 inches of this unit, subtract 2 from psychic tests made for that unit. Now, it's not the most powerful thing in the world, but it just, like I said, there's not enough of that whole freaky anti-psyker. Right. I just remember the 5th edition Codex Roundtable where they had Phil Kelly and was Adam Troke and Jess Goodwin, right? And they were talking about how Jess Goodwin was talking about how their technology almost looks like magic, because it looks like, there's sort of these evil fairy tales and things like that. And so I really like this whole branding thing and the anti-psyker bit.
It almost feels like it would have taken it to the next level if everything in the codex that dinged you on leadership also dinged you on psychic tests.
Ooh. Yeah. Yep.
I think that would have worked really well. Mm-hmm. And it would have made a lot of sense from a narrative perspective. I picked Fluid Encirclement because I wanted to go with a witchy one, and I wanted it to be an interesting witchy one. So Fluid Encirclement is each time this unit makes a pile-in move, you can move each model up to 6 inches. I can definitely see witches doing that. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. A lot of good battle traits. They're all very thematic. I read through all of them. They look really cool. Some of them are, like I said, a little milquetoast, +1 weapon skill, but it's a thing. It makes sense. It makes sense that they would get that.
They can't all be winners.
No, not they can't all be zingers as our friends over at
Primus.
Thank you, Primus would say. I love that we're on that wavelength, Jason.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying, isn't it?
It feels good. It feels good that we're there now. We're at that point in our lives. Battle scars.
It's the 97 dog years that your show is at 7 years old.
Yeah. That's
the Primus anniversary. So,
Jason, we need to go to Primus show sometime.
I've never been to one, which I'm not sure how I've pulled that off.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
Well, Primus was in their prime when you were in school.
Yeah.
So you were probably doing that.
Yeah.
And then all the Splinter projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyways,
seen Gwar
weapon enhancements.
Times, but I haven't seen Primus, which
I've never seen Gwar.
Oh. Oh no, that's that needs.
We need to fix that.
Yeah.
We need to fix that. Okay, so not every codex has had weapon enhancements and battle scars in it. The Drukhari are required to have weapon enhancements and battle scars. Like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
All the Drukhari weapon scars are for their poison weapons, which is cool. What did you pick, Brian?
So the weapon enhancements I went with...
on page 84 of your hymnals.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Nerve shard. So the toxin overloads the victim's synapses. They're drowned out. What? Like in English, this toxin overloads the victim's synapses. They're drawn out. Sorry, I am farsighted and wearing my old glasses trying to read a codex. Agonized screams, sending their allies fleeing in terror. So each model that is destroyed by an attack made with this weapon counts as 2 models in the morale phase. Now,
that's amazing.
Where this is cool is if we go into the agendas, if you take a gruesome bounty where you're getting an experience point for causing other units to flee, right? Mm-hmm. So like if it's like the poison weapons of like a rack unit, right, where they have their rack tools or poison weapons, or if they're shot at with this and then the morale phase are charged, you get those points for things running away, and you can sort of like really play into that whole terror thing that I like.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you recognize these poisons from old codexes? Some of them like the stuff that used to be in the old codexes, or is this all new lore here?
This stuff I think is actually, I didn't remember seeing anything in here that was, I don't see anything in here that was, not really. It all seems like pretty new stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I chose Agonite because the name sounds awesome.
Yep.
This venom spreads waves of agony so intense that even the most robust psychologies are overwhelmed with pain. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, rules that ignore wounds cannot be used. So no feel, no pain on these attacks. That's just the best.
Sorry, I was laughing because when you said Agonite, I started hearing like a Mentos commercial for like a candy bar called Agonite in Kimura.
Right? Yeah, or it's like some kind of like metal. It sounds like a metallic substance. It's just that's great. So for the battle scars, there's only 3 or there's only 4.
Yeah.
So what one did you pick?
So the one that I picked is the one that my Archon got in the last game when he was murdered by I mean brutally murdered by by a patriarch in the Gene Stealer cult thing. Insensate. I love this one because this just really takes the whole edgelord thing to 11. So this warrior has become so jaded that their capacity to experience pain, pleasure, or the anguish of others is diminished, slowly driving them mad with deprivation. So instead of this guy becoming jaded because he is like a little poser trying to do his thing, I just decided that he was just brutally taken down by this patriarch so hard that, he was like annihilated physically and psychically, to the point where is denied access to enjoying pain. So the effect is, it's weird. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, half the damage characteristic of that attack. But they can't use the power from pain ability at all. So a lot of these have like a bonus. Like if you look at the Coven one, it also has a bonus, but there's a drawback to it as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to go ahead and rip that one out too.
Yeah, so the Coven's ones are cautionary results. So homunculi are frequently experimental under surgery, especially if their patients have displeased them. Not all of the outcomes of these surgeries are favorable, but they certainly ensure greater loyalty. So each time a model in this unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll, but you add 1 to the strength and leadership characteristics of models in this unit. So for like Rax, they're not going to get any benefit out of the extra strength, but the leaders, because they have poison weapons that wound on a fixed value, but like a Talos or something like that is definitely going to, enjoy that, or Grotesque especially are really going to kind of get the thing out of that. But yeah, so like for me with this thing, with my Archon, with Mr. Poser Edgelord, like actually going out and trying to inflict pain on the universe and having pain shoved in a very uncomfortable place for him. I am not going to spend the requisition point. You don't have to edit that out, I hope.
No, I'm leaving it.
I'm not going to spend... I won't spend the requisition point to remove this until he actually manages to somehow slaughter something or be in the vicinity of like a real spectacle on the level that he was killed. Right? He's going to have to learn how to hate again. And I'm hoping the succubus and the witch cults can help him find his groove. So
that's nice.
Stella needs to get her groove back, and Stella's going to. I might just name my Archon Stella after this.
Yeah, do it.
The Kabbalite Warrior one is similar-ish. Yeah. It's called Excommunicate. Mm-hmm. I've had a few that have had a similar battle scar from the core book, where you can't be affected by auras because you're so ashamed of your failures. This one, instead, you lose the Cabal keyword and you gain the Blades for Hire keyword instead because you strike out on your own. And
that's interesting.
And, yeah, it is really interesting. You could even it would be cool. You could like do a little mini kill team game with those guys. Mm-hmm. You take that unit of Kabbalite warriors and run a kill team game for them to redeem themselves in some kind of interesting little small mission. And if they fail, you just remove them from your roster. Yep. If they succeed, bring them back and use that 1 RP to heal their wound. And the Witch Cult one is Biochemical Hypershock. Having overused countless combat stimulants, the bodies of these artistes are ravaged by chemicals, no longer control of their effects. They suffer catastrophic physiological breakdowns. So you must randomly select your combat drugs, which can just be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
And subtract 1 from toughness and leadership of the unit. That's the hardest one.
Yeah.
That's the hardest one.
Yeah.
That's double negative.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
I think that one would have been fun if you rolled 3.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, because I mean, God, I don't want to make a joke out of this, but I mean, I've worked with people in teaching and education that you can see people that have taken something like ecstasy so much that it's just, they are just ultra flatlined, where nothing really phases them. And so when they go to try to use anything, it takes a lot, you know what I'm saying? So I could see them doing 3, but again, that would be a super nightmare to try to keep track of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm, I absolutely blame my early and frequent use of marijuana on my inability to remember basic words from time to time. And as listeners of this show are clearly should have experienced at least 3 or 4 times during this podcast recording, much less the past 7 years, and not attribute it to early onset Alzheimer's, which I really hope it's not. So with that bright note, Crusade relics on your hymnals on page 85. There are some cool ones in here. I'd like to see more. I'm sure there will be. I'm not sure what can compare in any way, shape, or form, he said as he's going through his Warhammer app. The Trader's Embrace. I don't think any... Is there any other relic other than Trader's Embrace?
No.
It literally killed 3.5 Plague Marines in my last game.
Wow.
It was Trader's Embrace plus the reflection damage from Curse Blade.
Right.
3.5 Plague Marines just went... Anyways, what one did you pick?
Well, again, I'm going old school. So I'm going with the old school, I'm wearing your face on my face Archon model. So for me, it's Mask of the First Age. This intricately decorated mask is thought to date from the founding of the oldest pleasure cults and was worn at ostentatious sensation banquets by nobles who wish to display their power openly. Ownership of such a relic and the nerve-shredding, empathetic technologies contained within is a potent symbol of the wearer's influence. So for me, I like the idea of this not being like a mask. I want this to be the face.
The actual face.
From the first age.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. When my Archon gets this, I have an old 3rd edition Archon that's getting converted up that has parts from every Archon model that has existed, like the different versions all the way up to the current one. Uh-huh. I will give him this just to have the face on the helmet. Mm-hmm. So the model gains the following abilities. Add 1 to the bearer's movement, attacks, wounds, and leadership characteristics. Mm. And they gain an aura called Aura of Dominance. While the unit was in 6 inches of this model, each time a morale test is made for that unit, you can choose whether that test is passed or failed.
That's amazing.
So it's a weird one where I don't know that they intended for this, because as it's worded, it looks like you can select an enemy unit to fail.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a legendary relic. Well, you have to be a super duper BA to take this.
Yeah.
And your opponent's also going to be a super duper BA or have 800 quadrillion command points to use.
This is true.
It's fine. That's fine to me. And it makes sense if you're wearing someone's face. Have you ever seen Friday the 13th Part 7, Jason Goes to Manhattan?
No.
In that movie, in that film, I'm sorry, not a movie, it's a film. In that film, there's one scene where a gang is about to beat up Jason and steal his lunch money. And they're like, they got the chains, they got the boots, they look like your classic like the stereotype of a New York City gang from like the early 90s or whatever it was. Right. All Jason does, you think he's going to kill him, right? He's going to stab them and murder them. Instead, he just turns around, lifts up his mask, and they run away. They just run, and he puts his mask back down, and he continues on his day. It was really the best thing ever, and that's what I'm seeing here. Except in reverse, he's just always wearing the face.
Sure.
Yeah, I like it.
I believe it's called the "I'm Rick James B" move, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Jason, what do you have picked?
I picked up a Master Clone Field. While some influential figures in Kimura can claim to own a clone field, this peerless example is said to be the first ever created. It projects multiple hologram-like images, which mimic the wearer's movements perfectly. Enemies find their attacks absorbed by the Simacrula, or however you pronounce it, distracting them long enough for their true target to close in and strike a killing blow. I thought that was kind of a fun one. We were talking about clones dying earlier. So the bear has a 4-up invul save, which I'm assuming for Drukhari, that's good.
That's something only the homunculus cousins have, and in great infrequency.
Oh, okay. And if the bearer is the target of a melee attack after that enemy unit has fought, if it is still within engagement range, so if it hasn't died, the bearer can make 2 melee attacks. These attacks must target that enemy unit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a neat little ability added on there.
Yeah.
And that field, that's definitely old Eldar stuff. Like all the Eldar ships in Battlefleet Gothic have the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, and it's basically an upgraded version. Urian Rakarth has always had, is the one model that's had a clone field.
Oh, okay.
So that's always been his sort of special thing.
It's cool that you can use these Crusade relics to kind of replicate those relics that other named characters might have onto your generic character.
Right.
And some of these Crusade relics taste like they're, the relics in the codexes often are like, this is the pair, there is only one of these. You can only take one, da-da-da-da. Some of these are like, well, there might be a couple masks of the first age out there.
Sure.
There might be a few clone fields out there. Maybe your Crusade army can only have one, but there are probably more than one out there.
Yeah.
I chose the Soul Shard grenade. So the Soul Shard grenade. I think you don't lose it when you use it. So I'm guessing that the grenade is it's a captured spirit stone of an Eldari Psyker, and it has the soul in it, and it's been tortured so much that when you throw it, it shatters the mind. And the mindless soul lashes out, enacting revenge on the first living thing it can find, which is just delightful. Once per battle at the end of your movement phase, the bearer can use this relic. If so, select one enemy unit within 6 inches. Roll a number of d6 equal to the number of models in the unit to a maximum of 15. Character counts as 5. A vehicle and monster counts as 10. If an enemy unit is a psyker, add 1 to each result. For each 6+, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. It's a psychic bomb made out of an Eldar soul. That is just Drukhari as all get out.
It isn't exactly on point, but it reminds me, I'm trying to remember who the painter was, and I don't think it was Mike McVeigh. There was an old 3rd edition, I think it was a Golden Demon entry called Brother's Keeper or something like that, where they took like the old Urian Rakarth model that's holding like a soul cage type of thing, and there was like a psyker that was sort of like coming out of it, screaming, type of a thing, like a soul coming out of it, so like a soul trap deal. So. That's
cool. Yeah, it doesn't say you lose it. It does say it shatters, so you might have just like a pocket full of them, or you actually the soul thinks it's been freed, but you just go and collect the pieces and mush them back together in like a snowball, and you trap the soul again. But I like the idea of like actually making it one-time use if you're facing off against Slaaneshi demons. Like if you ever face off against Slaaneshi demons and you throw that, just mark it off of your sheet because they ate it. They definitely ate that soul.
Yeah, probably.
Bastards. Yeah. We're going to run back to page 77 of your hymnals because I can't imagine why you would put agendas first. It's ridiculous. So agendas, Brian, take us in with the first option.
So both campaigns that I've played, I pretty much take credit every time because of my poser Archon. So Drukhari commanders learn early how to best inflate their own standing by taking the achievements of others and twisting them to their own advantage. Leading a large raid is the perfect opportunity to take credit for all manner of successes, real or not, and reap the political bounty they generate. So my whole poser Archon that's surrounding himself with tough guys and all this stuff. This is like the whole Commodus character from Gladiator, right? So at the end of the battle, select one Drukhari character model from your army and make a note of the total number of experience points Drukhari units from your army gained from other agendas. For every 2 experience points gained by other units, that character unit gains 1 experience point to a maximum of 4. If that character is an Ascendant Lord, then for every 5 experience points gained by other units, you gain 1 raid spoils point. So this one in lower point games doesn't do a whole lot, but when you're, because if you're playing 1,000 points, you have 2 agendas that you're doing. The other one you have to like really go to town on. But if you're able to play larger games and do that, it's really fun. I just like the idea of this Archon just taking credit for everything. Because I mean, it's kind of sad because they don't do a lot anymore. But just like really like, that was me. That was me.
No, that is really cool. There's a few. There's a few like that, and I love that. Jason, which one did you pick?
He took my other one. I love this one. No, you took my other one. I'm sorry.
No, mine. I love mine. Mine's awful, but it's great. Go ahead, Jason.
A gruesome bounty. Drukhari. So competition to partake in a real space raid is vicious. Those who secure such a position know it to be a route to wealth and power. The flesh of those taken captive is owned by the raid's orchestrator, or by their shadowy patrons, backers, and creditors. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Anyway, but participating warriors seem to be instrumental in such captures, can bank on greater prestige, as well as more tangible assets doled out in the wake of a successful raid. So keep a captive tally for each Drukhari unit, excluding beast units from your army. At the end of each turn, add 1 to that unit's captive tally if any enemy units were destroyed by a melee attack made by that unit that turn. And at the end of the battle, each unit gains 1 experience point for every mark on its captive tally. That could be a nice number there real quick. Well, depending.
Yeah. that's one you take to actually generate experience points, because you will generate experience points. There's some agendas are take a risk on taking it to get a lot of experience points.
Right.
This is one you're just going to get experience points.
Well, that seems to be how I do that with the agendas, though. Anyway, like every agenda I always take, just like, I don't have to think too much about it, so that's the one I'm going to take.
Fair enough. I want to talk about demonstrate superiority real quick, because I feel like even though it's the way it's worded and the way it works is very Drukhari, I think a lot of codexes could have one like this. So if you look at, if it's a real space raid detachment, which includes all three branches, all three silos of the Drukhari Codex, whichever branch had the most kills earns more experience points. I think that's a really neat ability. But yeah, the one I really, really wanted to talk about was send a message. A common method of heightening terror amongst prey is to ensure the initial victims of the raid are exhibited in all manner of loathsome ways, sending a clear message that such a fate will be shared by the remaining defenders. Raising flayed captives on spikes, linking screaming victims into the enemy's voxnet, or hanging dripping trophies that still moan through the stitched lips from visible vantage points ensures the enemy knows exactly what fate awaits them. Keep a terror tally for each Drukhari unit in your army. Drukhari infantry and bikes from your army can attempt an action. This action is called redecorate.
I love this so much.
At the end of your movement phase, one unit from your army. Yeah. Remember the novel Azerman? Remember Azerman? By Gav Thorpe.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And he went home and at home there were a bunch of not dead corpses sitting like there on spikes, all talking and screaming. At the end of your movement phase, one unit can that is within 3 inches of an objective marker can start to perform this action. This action is completed at the end of your turn. So it's a one turn. It's a less than a turn thing. If completed, add 1 to that unit's terror tally. That objective is now terrifying and has the following ability: while a unit is within 6, excluding Drukhari, is within 6 inches of this objective, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. While an enemy is within 6 inches of a terrifying objective, each time that enemy unit fails a morale test, add 1 to the terror tally of the Drukhari unit from your army that is within 6 inches of the same objective. At the end of the battle, you get 1 experience point for every mark on its terror tally. So you at least get 1 mark when you set up the decomposing screaming bodies on the objective. But after that, if your opponent starts failing morale checks on it, you'll get more and more. That's great. You need to, in order to use this agenda, you need to model up some Drukhari objectives.
Oh yes,
yeah,
with trophies. I have some, but not painted. I'm gonna have to paint them.
Yep,
it's great.
To me, I take this one pretty much every time because I figure that Poser Archon, who's trying to take credit for everything, wants to really, put on the show. Like, look how terrifying we are, and you got to advertise. You got to put up billboards to, they're like he's basically taking selfies of his food and posting it on Instagram, more or less. So, or Camoragram, I don't know, whatever. Awful version.
I'm not sure if it was an agenda he used, but my buddy who pooped on the objective. Yeah, I want more of this. I want more poop and dead bodies, or both, on objectives. I want orcs to be able to do something similar. Like I love the stuff that messes with objectives and terrain. I like it when you can interact with the battlefield in more ways than just getting a cover save. Closing thoughts. Brian, what do you think? You like the Crusade rules in here?
Man, I'm disappointed we aren't going to do the name generator thing.
Oh, we're gonna do the name generator thing.
Okay.
I put it in the wrong spot on
good.
on the notes. It usually comes at right before we do the commercial break.
All right. You're welcome, Jason, for more editing. Cool.
No, it stays like
we're not going to get it in post.
No.
Jason's just phoning it in now. Once he started paying for Zencastr, he's like, you know what? No. I don't have to. I'm not doing anything. Not doing anything.
Well, I started paying for Zencastr, and I started doing all the fun stuff with Beyond the Fringe, which is much more fun.
Hold on. He's not going to get this one. Hold on. Beyond the Fringe.
You know, I might go.
Brian, what do you think of this? What do you think of the Crusade content in this book?
The Crusade content in this book, I think, is the best part of the book.
Yeah.
Just straight up. Like, it just, if you want to play, it really helps you to feel like you are involved in the inner politics of Camorra. It just, everything about it just screams, horror freak show, like it should. And for me, I think if you play around with it a little bit, especially if you find another Drukhari player in your local area and you guys want to do a campaign, there are all, things like assert authority. It kind of cracks the door a little bit. And I think you can really explore and play in that sandbox. Or I think you can work in, if you have a copy of Gangs of Camorra, I think you can work in games of that to try to do some things. There's just a lot of opportunities for it. And it's, again, if you kind of hit a point where you're like, I'm not really sure, a lot of areas where people are, gaming is opening up and these types of things is doing these little Crusade things and sort of building up like that. It's just such a great way to get back into the swing.
Yeah, I agree. I think
have that box set.
Doing the territories, everybody has that box set.
Yeah,
I sent mine to Brian.
I got mine for like 50 to 75% off because someone bought it and they didn't want it, and they're just like, here, $20. I was like, rad.
Yeah, I have bikes now.
Can I flex my Drukhari cred here?
Yeah.
For a second. I bought 4 of them when it came out. I gave 1 box to Justin, 1 box to Andrew in the Fault Line Gaming group, and then I sent the other one to Alex as far as the rules. But I still have all the jet bikes.
Yeah. Well, you should.
You don't have all the Hellions?
I don't have all the Hellions. And I'm telling you right now, people right now are sending me messages that are like, so you said nobody would take Hellions. Turns out that was a lie. I was like, if you put them on the table, they die pretty quick.
That's the thing.
They're not that fast.
That's the thing. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Because they're certainly not doing the stuff that Raiders Raiders? Ravagers. No. Reavers, thank you.
Yes.
They're not doing what Reaver jet bikes do. Reaver jet bikes will get you the secondaries. Yeah. They will secure the secondaries. That is what they do. Hellions are not going to do that. They do not have the staying power, and they're too big. The unit's too big too. 5 bases can't get into the nooks and crannies that 3 bases can get into.
Right.
But they are awesome looking. They are so cool, and they fit right into a witch cult army. As long as you can hide them. If your battlefield can't hide them, then I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Hiding your Raiders and Venoms.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I think it's great. I think you can take the territories, you can mix it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be Camorra.
Yeah.
If you want to use them, use the same thought process for like satellite realms or even realms in the real space that go do a more pirate campaign. You could take this and do a pirate campaign real quick. You could use the same system for not even for Drukhari. You could use this same system and go ahead and use it for chaos. Easy.
Oh my God. Imagine this system for Emperor's Children.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'd be amazing.
Or Alpha Legion too.
Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Red Corsairs. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like rip out the book, change all the names, Red Corsairs. You're good to go.
I want to see the World Eaters table where you roll 2 8-sided dice, right? And every single one of them is just skulls. Anyways.
No, the result is like that chapter from the Heresy book where it's just blood on the page.
Yeah.
You just figure it out. And the book just says, you just do what you want.
Yeah.
There's just blood here. All you're seeing is red. You know, like a 3D8 table. And if you roll 888, it's just red. And the players can decide what that means. Maybe the game just ends. Who knows? The game's just over.
Your entire
the
force
player won. All right, guys. Last thing. Once again, this codex does not include a name generator. Games Workshop, past couple codexes, we haven't had a name generator. All you people out there, I know, are not listening to this podcast because I'm sure you're all kindred spirits, but all those people out there complaining, why waste all that space on name generator? I didn't understand where I'm getting less rules so you can have a name generator? That's a bunch of bullcrap. Well, guess what? I don't see more rules in these books. I just see less name generators. So what's the problem? Anyways,
and now I'll never have that voice out of my head.
When I compress that, it's going to make that voice sound quieter than like it is. It's going to still sound like totally distorted. So,
all right, I'm going to get my piggy dice out. Here we go.
Piggy dice.
I want to thank our friends at the Independent Character, Brian Berman on the Independent Characters Discord page. A nice person out there has created a full booklet, a full PDF of all the name generators we had in 8th edition. Thank you very much. I'm scrolling. Jason, why don't you tell us what you rolled for your what did you go with? Did you go with a witch cult, Kabbalite, or homunculus character?
I think I went with a Kabbalite. No, I don't remember.
All right. What did you get?
I rolled... Hold on. I actually stuffed it up. Oh, yeah. Kabbalite. I rolled a 41 for a car and a 65 for Minish. So a car Minish.
A car Minish. Yeah. Oh, nice. All right, here I go. My witch... My succubus's name is... I'll go Lobster Pig. And if I'm going Lobster Pig, it is 16. I have a lobster dice and a pig dice. See?
Okay.
Lobster and pig dice. Lobster. So that is Ingenue. Ooh. Ingenue Vivicom. Why is my succubus a subsidiary of a tech or a communications firm? Whatever. It's cool. Brian.
They're in the entertainment industry. And by the way, I feel like I'm actually in Kimura right now because there's a disjunction going on outside and my kids are about to bust in. Like, this is Thunderdome bedtime hour. So,
okay.
I got to roll these dice like I stole them. So, okay, I am going to go. I'm going on the homunculus coven table. Of course.
Nice.
Let's do it live. What do we got? 11? Wow, what's with all these ones? What is that? Oh, how do you even say that?
Makazev?
Makazev? Sure. This is Brian mispronounces words. And 23. Makazev Sith Taker. Ooh, or Sith Taker. Oh, this is like the Slith party yacht, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the champion of the Slith party bus.
Party yacht. Party bus.
We got to get as much
distortion
height on that as possible.
Totally clipped out.
All right. We'll be right back. Damn, I knew it was around here somewhere. Damn, where is it?
Can I help you?
Ah! Scared me.
What do you seek?
I need the perfect scenario for a narrative game I'm running this week, and I can't find one.
Sir, this is the Black Library. We don't have narrative scenarios.
Well, then where should I go?
Might I recommend the Tabletop Campaign Repo?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo? What's that?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo is an ad-free site for hosting resources related to playing tabletop miniatures wargaming.
Oh, like scenarios?
Absolutely. Also, event packs, custom objectives, tracking sheets, custom terrain rules, maps, icon packs, award templates, and more.
Oh, and this is for Warhammer 40k?
Among other things. There's also Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and others. They're always open for content submissions for any system, even non-Games Workshop materials.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a great way to save all of this great content the community makes. A lot of that stuff often ends up disappearing into a dead message board or Facebook group.
Exactly. It's a real community effort.
Great. So, how do I get there?
Just go to that webway gate marked tcrepo.com.
tcrepo.com. Got it. Can I ask you one more question before I go?
Fire away.
This place is really easy to find. How come Armand can never find it?
Oh, because it's more funny that way.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Once again, the Tabletop Campaign repository can be found at tcrepo.com, and they're always looking for submissions. Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40k background.
The NGC 40k podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40k to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Hey mofos, are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarredcast, Skared on YouTube.
Oh, we've reached level 6. And we're back. Brian, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that there is a Mordenkainen's disjunction happening in your house. I hope you survive it. I hope none of your magic spells eat you.
Yeah, it's called 730. And it is totally a disaster of my own making. I am 100% responsible for both of them. So
we will take partial responsibility for that. Next week or next episode, like I said, we're going to be going super crunchy into the Plague Purge mission pack. After that, we plan on having David Annandale on to talk about the Warhammer horror series in general and in specific, talking about the his novel
Deacon of Wounds.
Deacon of Wounds. It's got a fly on it. I assume it'll be Death Guard action. But until then, go f*** yourself. Have a nice day, everybody.
Well, I was going to let Brian say it, but okay.
He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't listen to our show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. I haven't listened to a gaming podcast in a year. Do you want me to do it?
Do you?
Oh, I will. Oh, of course I do. I just say go f*** yourself?
No, you say play the game the way you want to.
Oh, because I really wanted to say, hey, f*** yourself. No, I forgot. I forgot that you guys, this is a thing.
We have a tagline.
Yeah. I should know this from the before times. So 1, 2, 3. Go the way you want to, or no. It's play the game the way you want to, right?
Play the game the way you want to.
I'm gonna
play
have
the
to
game
go
the way you want to.
That.
That's fine.
Yourself the way you want to, or sorry.
You could go the way someone else wants to. It's nice to mix it up by taking direction.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge. And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
You can also contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor. Thanks again for listening.
The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission. This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.